Hello, everyone. Welcome to Straight Talk on Social Media. This is Ian Desher, Director of Nonprofit Marketing from Pivot Group, talking to you on this Friday afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. I hope you're all doing well. Today, we're going to be talking about Facebook ads again. But before we do that, let's hop into the news here. So first bit of news, Facebook has dropped its gift services again. They have sort of, for a while they were letting you buy gifts that were sort of real life gifts. Then for a while they were letting you buy only virtual gifts like gift cards and things like that. Now they've really just dropped the whole thing altogether. They say they're still trying to sort of figure out a revenue model that's really going to work, and they're just not satisfied with the way that it's been going. So the announcement though did make it sound like we may very well be seeing gifts appear again at some point. So we'll see what happens. But for now, that is the news. Also, Facebook had a recent outage, and it really affected. It made a huge drop in terms of the percentage of traffic that news sites were getting, and you can see why in this sort of example. I just picked this at random from my news feed, but we tend to get our news so much from Facebook these days. So here it was an example, where somebody's posting an article from from CBS News, and so if I didn't see that on Facebook because Facebook was down, well, then I wasn't clicking through to CBS News. So Facebook really has become for many people, and I mean, certainly this is true for me. It's where I get just so much of my news by looking at what other people are posting, and that's how I sort of hear about what's going on in the world. So when Facebook goes out, therefore other news sites suffer as a result. So it's interesting to see that correlation played out recently. An interesting note that saying an article that said that social networks actually are doing among some of the worst among companies in terms of customer satisfaction. Now you do see some them making some headway from 2013 to 2014 in these recent scores, but still overall these scores are pretty low for big companies. Most I was looking around at some of the ACSI scores for other companies, and they tend to be in the 80s, if not the low 90s. So it's interesting that even though social media is a place where we tend to think a lot about smaller companies doing a lot of their customer service or large companies doing a lot of their customer service through social media. It's interesting that social media networks themselves don't enjoy a lot of customer satisfaction. I think there's still a lot of mistrust out there about social networks and sort of what they provide, what they don't provide, and how much they can or can't be trusted. And people just don't like it when things change, and things are always shifting on social media. So I think that could be another factor at play there. And one more bit of news, you may have heard in the last month, really the last 3 weeks or so, Weird Al Yankovic came out with his 14th album, Mandatory Fun, and it hit #1 in the first week that it was available to be on the Billboard album chart. So it's top album in the country, and it did so by means of this really sort of inventive and sort of forward-thinking digital push, where basically Weird Al's record company RCA had told him they would not have the budget to do any videos with this new album, and so Weird Al he approached these websites that many of us know and love because they put out viral content, things like funnyordie.com, collegehumor.com, Yahoo Entertainment, things like that. So he went to all of them and sort of created this, this deal with them whereby they would fund the video because they had the money for that sort of thing. So they would fund the video, and then in turn, he would give them sort of the exclusive release in this 8 straight days of releasing a video each day that he did. So they got to do, everybody benefited from it. They got all the traffic from people coming and watching the videos on their site, and he was able, then to have his album just go soaring. So it was an interesting digital push, and really fueled so much by social media. It seemed for a week or two there, it seemed like all anybody was talking about on social media was Weird Al, which is kind of amazing for a person who is, he's 54 now, and he's certainly no stranger to the music business. He's been around for 30 years, so for him to sort of be innovating like this is pretty impressive. And also, I'm just a big Weird Al Yankovic fan, so that was fun as well. So for the focus today, we're going to talk about straight talk on Facebook ads, and this is going to be a revisited topic. I was looking back over some of the other straight talk on social media webinars that I've done. I think this is the fourth or fifth time that I will have talked about Facebook ads, but I'm doing so because they're important enough to revisit every now and then, because they do shift and change. And if your knowledge of Facebook ads is 2 years old or even 2 months old, you may very well be missing some things that they've changed and hopefully improved. So I want to talk about some of the new things they've done. What I'm going to cover in this session is I will talk about the different types of ads that they now have available. They've made some tweaks and some additions to the types of ads that they have available for you to run. I'll talk briefly about ad placement, and you'll see what I mean by that in a minute. Talk about understanding campaigns versus ad groups versus ads, which is a new designation that they have. Really pretty new. So new that still, when you log into Facebook ads, you're being asked to take a tour of their new functionality. So, and it really took me some good thought on that to figure out exactly how it's working. And then I'll talk briefly about the analytics and just sort of why I still think that Facebook ads are a good deal. What I'm not going to cover, the audience targeting, which includes things like saying that you want to have people within your geographic area see your ads, and people of a certain age or with certain interests. They haven't changed a lot with that, so I won't spend a lot of time covering that. I also won't talk about the budgeting. Again, that's something that has not really changed. They're still offering pay by click and pay by impression, and the overall cost, I would say, has not really changed much in the last few years. So won't really be talking about those things today. I really just want to cover the things that have changed that may be new for you. So first of all, the different types of ads. When you first go to create your Facebook ad, and let me actually pause there and just remind you that if you do have a question along the way, let me know. You can, in your GoToWebinar control panel, you can put in a question there. When you first go to create an ad, they ask you what it is that you sort of want to accomplish with this ad. And this is a change that they made probably a year and a half ago, where they said no longer are we going to let somebody pick the type of ad they want to have first. Actually what we want to do is start with the goal, with the end in mind. So these are now their 9 categories that they have for the types of ads. So we'll talk through each one just briefly here. So first of all, clicks to website, right? So this is the what I think of as sort of the most traditional type of Facebook ad. When they first introduced all of these different, sort of goals that you could have for an ad, they had sort of buried this one a little bit. Now they've put it back on top. This is where if you just want somebody to read the Facebook ad and then by clicking get over to your website or some page of your website, that's what this first one is going to do. So again, what I sort of think of as the most traditional use of Facebook ads. Website conversion. So not only are we going to take them to your website, but we're actually then going to make sure that they have taken some kind of action to once they get there. Facebook has what they call a tracking pixel that you can embed on a particular page, and basically then they can track it. If somebody clicks on your ad, they can track whether or not that person ever gets around then to that conversion to the page that has that conversion pixel on it. And if they do, then you know that the ad was successful by getting the person to click and then actually getting them to whatever final page that is, which would likely be something like a confirmation page if they've done an order, or a thank you for signing up for our newsletter page, or whatever that action is that you're looking for them to take. The third type is page post engagement, and I've had some recent experience running some of these ads for African New Life, who you see there happens to be the first page that pops up by virtue where they are in the alphabet. So I'll talk you a little bit through some of the things that we did with them and their campaign. But basically, the idea is that if you want to make sure more people are seeing your page post, whether it's your existing likers of your page or anybody new who's out there, with the same sort of targeting that's always been available to you. That's what you can do here. Page posts have become sort of more of page post boosting has become more of a necessity since Facebook has been very clear about the fact that they are sort of pushing company posts and official page posts down in people's news feeds, not showing them as often as they used to. And so this message that they're sending to companies is, look, if you want your page post to be seen by all of your likers and then by people beyond your likers, then you need to really think about using these promoted posts. So again, this is something we did recently, and I'll talk you through some of that. Page like, similarly, if your goal is just to build the number of likers on your page, they have an option for that. App installs, if you've created an app through Facebook and your goal is to get people to install that app into their Facebook, then they have ads that can lead people in that direction. Or app engagement, which would be things like actually getting people to use your app instead of just installing it. They have that as well. Event responses. So if you have let's say it's a new product launch and you want people to be attending it, then you can create that event on your page, and you can then try to get run ads to try to get people to come to it. So really useful if you have some sort of big event that you want to make sure as many people attend as possible. This might be the sort of ad that you would want to run. Offer claims. So if on your page you've created an offer, whether it's a coupon or a giveaway or something like that, then you can promote that offer and try to get people to take advantage of it by using an ad here. So again, that's another way that Facebook, another goal that Facebook sees you might have. And of course, it ties nicely into their offer functionality that they have on pages, where they let you create an offer really easily through your page as an administrator. And then video views. You can now start to have ads that have videos in them. So these are like promoted posts, except what it's going to show is it's actually going to show a video that you are able to upload. So this was interesting. It's when I sort of dug down into video views a little bit, and it gives you the option to either upload a brand new video that has not appeared on your page before, or to use one of your existing videos that you already have uploaded. So I thought that was interesting because it can be an ad with a video that has not necessarily appeared on your site. It can be something that is, or I'm sorry, on your Facebook page. It can be something that's totally new. So you can think of many different uses you might have for that, whether it's just sort of airing a commercial that you are showing. This is would become then a new way for people to see that commercial, whether it's a promotional video for something, ways you could use that. So those are the different types of ads that they think that people might, that are sort of the most likely that people are going to want to use and explore. And then we get into ad placement, and you see here the three possibilities for ad placement. There's the desktop news feed, and that means that on a regular computer, PC or a laptop or whatever, that when people are viewing Facebook on their web browser, you're going to show up in their news feeds as a promoted, basically a promoted post. Then there's a mobile news feed, which is the same thing but for a mobile phone. So when people are looking at Facebook on their phones, then your ad is going to pop up as they look at that. And then there's the right column format. Now they are sort of trying to promote their new right column format. My sort of opinion about this in terms of ad placement, and in fact when we did the campaign most recently for Africa New Life, we did not opt to spend money on the right column ads. At this point, my feeling is that people who use Facebook have just gotten so accustomed to ignoring the right column that honestly, I feel like most clicks we would get from a right column ad would probably be accidental clicks. So that's just my feeling about that from my own experience of using Facebook and talking with other people who just feel like they never even look at those ads anymore. Whereas the ones that show up in my newsfeed, those are the ones that I am more likely to see and more likely to click on. So that's my feeling there. So that's ad placement. Just wanted to sort of briefly touch on that. And now let's talk about campaigns versus ad groups versus ads. So again, I told you that right now Facebook is sort of offering this tour when you first come to the ads section of Facebook to sort of help explain this. They're trying, I mean, as you can see here by the first thing that pops up in this tour, they are trying to sort of give you more control, right? So that you can have an overall campaign, and then you can have ad sets within that campaign, which would be just groups of different ads. And then within those groups of ads, then of course you have the individual ads themselves. So that's, their diagram here is really sort of getting at what they're trying to do. So it's in campaigns. Campaigns really, I mean, the sort of reporting happens at the campaign level, and that's where you can start to see the overall effect of how many people your campaign has touched, and how your different ads are doing and different ad sets are doing, and that sort of thing. What they've sort of moved around and changed, and again, I told you let me get back to that in a second, because first let me show you. This is then what a campaign view looks like, right? So you can see that it will tell you that they've introduced this sort of on-off toggle, and they've introduced that for campaigns, ad groups, or ad sets and ads themselves. So they have you can have any of those at any of those levels turned off, and so there really is kind of a lot of diligence that goes into making sure that your ads are running correctly, because it has become more complex in terms of at any point, if you've turned something off or if something is not complete in one of the areas, then the whole thing will not work, will not run. So it's saying right now, it's not delivering because the ad set is completed, even though it's turned on. This is what the schedule that was set up for. One of the things that I started to say a minute ago that they've moved and changed is that now it's the ad sets, and forgive my heading at the top, I have ad groups. They're actually referring to them as ad sets. So within the ad sets, that's where you actually now set both the budget and the schedule. This confused me to no end when I was setting up a campaign recently, looking for how do I make sure I've got the schedule set right. And I was looking for it at the campaign level, looking for it at the ad level, sort of thinking back to the way it had been before. They've put it at this ad sets level. I'm not exactly sure what the thinking was there. I mean, they do sort of, I guess the idea is, you could have a campaign, and here's a good example, I guess. You'd have a campaign where you're launching a new product, and for the 2 weeks before that product launches, you want to have one set of ads showing. On the day it launches, you want to have another set of ads showing. And then for 2 weeks after it launches, you want to have yet a third set of ads showing. So you would then create one overall campaign. You would have an ad set for each of those, pre, the day of, and then post the launch. And then you would have the different ads within those ad sets. So that's the way that you would use this in general. Now for running a single ad at a time, it does make it a little bit cumbersome. So there's a sense in which I almost wish that they would give you the choice of, do you want sort of the simple format of, hey, here's the ad that I want to run right now, and that ad is my campaign, and et cetera. And then there's this sort of more complex format for bigger campaigns. But they've just chosen to have it be sort of that way for everything. So you can see here ad sets. This is the way they're explaining it. This is what an ad set view looks like. So again, you've got your toggle option here. You can see that we're within the campaign and then the ad set here. And then you can see that now I've got my little blue arrow or blue editing pencil that I can click on next to the schedule and the budget. So this is where I can edit those things. So this was just a an ad that we ran really for 2 or 3 days for a budget of $200. So a very simple ad, not a huge campaign. But this is where you're able then to set the schedule. So just know that if you start setting up a new Facebook ad, that it's going to be in the ad sets where you set the schedule and the budget. And then the ads themselves. So again, the ads themselves basically work as they did before. That's where you decide what the audience is going to be. That's where you actually create the ad itself, and you talk about the placement, where where do you want it, either in the news feed or on the right sidebar or what. And so this is, this, if you've run Facebook ads before, this is what it will start to look familiar to you. This is a promoted post that we did, again, like I said, for African New Life. Like the video views option that it had, the promoted posts the post that you promote does not actually have to appear on your page. So this, page, we had done this one was for New York. We had actually done a different one for Los Angeles a couple weeks before this, where we were actually saying in the post, like, hey, Los Angeles, listen for a radio event in your area and that sort of thing. And we're able to do that because the post that you promote, like I said, does not have to be one that appears on your page. You wouldn't want to have a post on your page necessarily that called out a certain geographic area when you are a national or international company. But you can do that through a promoted post when you're targeting creatively there by just using that one geographic area. So that's how it works sort of with the ads. And then sort of last thing that I thought, and this is something they include in their tour, but one thing that I thought was interesting to note was that they have not, in terms of how the overall ads, if you've had ads that are running and you're worried about, wow, what is this messed up? They should all be fine. Basically, it's telling you how they've arranged things, right? Basically, they've just created an ad set for you within your campaign, and your ad is fine. So they were smart enough there to not change things that might be or affect things that might sort of be running right now when they made the change. So important to know about, just in case you do have some ads that are running right now. And then analytics. I don't want to talk so much about the analytics themselves, but more just to give you a glimpse at sort of what you can do here with the numbers. So you can see this was a campaign that we really launched on the 16th of July, and we only ran it through the 18th, and it turned off I think on the 18th at midnight, or I guess 9 p.m. You can see up there. So it's not one that we ran for a long time. But then if you get into the actual sort of numbers, for $200 total, right? They were able to pick their targeted audience. This was a campaign for people in New York with a very specific set of interests or likes or that sort of thing. For $200, they reached about almost 25,000 people, which means that the ad was shown, at least appeared in the news feed of at least 25,000 people. Now, of course, whether or not that many people actually noticed it or whatever, that we don't necessarily know, right? I mean, we don't know how many people may have seen it and not done anything with it, but at least they sort of put it before about almost 25,000 people. And then they got 288 click-throughs from 260 unique people. So another 28 people or so clicked on it twice. But 260 people clicked on their ad, which for me, and then that was then clicking through to their website, the campaign that they wanted people to see. And so for me, 260 people clicking, reading their ad, realizing that it's something that interests them, and then clicking through to it. 260 people doing that for $200 to me is a very good deal. That really is a good price. But then going through some of the other numbers here, and again, this took me some digging to figure out what the difference was. Then there's actions, right? The number of people taking actions was 92 people, and the number of actions taken was 97. Well, remember that this was a promoted post. So with a post, there are different actions you can take. You can share the post, you can like the post, you can also write a comment on the post. So 97 people, in addition to the 260 people, or I'm sorry, 92 people, in addition to the 260 people who clicked on it, there were 92 people, could have been the same people, could have been some who were the same, some were different. But 92 people then actually wrote some comment on it or shared it with other people or liked it. So to me, this feels like, you had, in some ways, you kind of almost had 350 different positive things happening around this ad, right? You had 260 people clicking on it, another 92 who did some sort of action with it, all for $200, which is not. I mean, $200 is it's not like it's absolutely cheap, but it's also not super expensive for that kind of exposure to that kind of targeted audience. So I just point that out because many of us have been a little frustrated that Facebook is forcing companies to promote their posts in order to make sure their posts are seen by their likers or by other people. But here, I think we start to see that it is actually money well spent, and there have been several studies that show that promoted posts tend to do better than just click-through ads on Facebook, where you're taking them to your website. Something that looks like a post, something that looks like it belongs in their newsfeed, is more likely to get this interaction. So that is good news. So just a handful of takeaways as we end up here. Of course, you want to create the ad with the end goal in mind. Facebook has set it up that way, so make sure you know what your goal is before you start. Number two, I think you can probably give up on sidebar ads. I just think they're, too many people don't notice them these days. They've become invisible to most of us because we know where the action is. It's the news feed that we want to look at, and so we don't care what's over there on the right-hand side. And I think it doesn't hurt you at all. I mean, as you can see with that promoted post and the analytics that I had there, I don't think those numbers were going to be helped at all by having included sidebar ads. So that's, I would say you don't need to use them. Number three, just make sure, you can do some playing around with it and everything, but make sure you understand that difference between campaigns, ad sets, and ads. Because like I said, if you don't know the difference and you end up setting one of them up incorrectly, then your ads are just not going to be running the way they're supposed to be. Number four, and then I said, and number four takeaway, and make sure they're all running correctly. So make sure that you not only understand the difference, but make sure that they're all turned on with that little toggle switch, that it tells you that it will be very clear, when you go in, it will say this ad is delivering or this ad is not delivering. The hard thing can be when it says not delivering, figuring out, well, why? And that can be sometimes a little tricky to dig through. And then my final takeaway is just that I really do think that Facebook ads are still a good investment, especially if you're doing promoted posts, because that engagement that you're getting with clicks and the actions that people can take on your posts can be worth it. I wouldn't promote every post that you create on your page. I don't think that's necessary, but certainly every now and then when there's a post that you need people to see and that you want to make sure people who are not just your existing likers, but people beyond your existing likers see, I do think that promoted posts are worth it. So that is the last takeaway I have. Thank you for joining me today. The next time we're together will be Friday, September 12th at 11 o'clock Pacific time, and we'll talk about some lessons from Airbnb and Uber, which are two new services you may have heard about. Dave Newstratton's next Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar will be Wednesday, August 27th at 11 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a great weekend. Remember to keep your media social and your talk straight.